What's up YouTube, Mike here from Techno GI, and today I have with me a giant freaking tablet. And no, this is not an iPad Pro, although some may confuse it for it. It's about the same. But this, in my opinion, is the best iPad Pro alternative. And this is a Galaxy Note Pro 12.2, and this is of course a Samsung device. It is, like I said, 12.2 as opposed to the iPad's 12.9, so it's almost as big as an iPad Pro, but not quite, but still a big freaking tablet. But again, the iPad Pro has had a ton of hype lately, rightly so, and I still just really can't get over the price for what you get. So the reason I got this is because this is about half the price. So I actually bought this off of Craigslist, of all places, for $375, and it included the Samsung smart cover, which works as it should, wake and sleep, and it also works as a kickstand. So anyways, looking at an iPad Pro for the entry-level model is $799 plus tax, and if you want the Apple Pencil, that's an extra $100, and of course the keyboard is an extra $170 plus tax. So again, if you've got the money, great, but I just think if you're looking for a tablet that can replace your laptop, with the exception of the Surface models, this is your best alternative. Really, I think this is what the iPad Pro should have been. Like I said, the best thing about this, of course, is the S Pen, which comes included, and you can store it. So, of course, with the iPad Pro, you've got to buy the stylus separately. So like I said, this tablet has been out for almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years old in March, I think. So it's got a little bit dated specs. It's nowhere near going to be the same specs as the iPad Pro, but it performs just fine. It's got a very good vibrant screen. It's not going to be quite as bright as the iPad Pro, or as far as the pixels per square inch, but it's still right up there with the best. It's got an octa-core processor. This has actually got 3 gigs of RAM, so no issues with that whatsoever. But what I want to do is kind of give you guys a demo of what this is capable of. So we'll take a closer look at it, and hopefully, if you're in the market for an iPad Pro, and you're looking for a cheaper alternative, maybe I can sway you, because like I said, you can get these brand spanking new for $649 for a 32 gigabyte model, which has expandable storage. You can also get these on Craigslist, Amazon, eBay, you name it, for $400 or less. So for the money, you really can't beat this. So let's take a closer look at this thing. All right, so let's take a closer look at this. Again, like I said, this is a 12.2 inch display, and that's measured diagonally. And like I said, it's a very, I think, vibrant, bright display, beautiful display. Right now the brightness is all the way up, but it's really hard to get a feel for it. But I just kind of want to show you some of the key features of this and what I think really makes this thing a good iPad Pro alternative. And really, this is a more productive tablet than an iPad Pro. This, I mean, love or hate Android. Most people are going to prefer one or the other. But I got to say, just Android operating system and TouchWiz UI in general is closer to what you would get with a computer experience as opposed to just a pure tablet OS. And I'll kind of show you why, but really what distinguishes this from the iPad Pro, I think, mostly is the S Pen. And Samsung, of course, they've refined this over 5 generations of Note series, starting from the Galaxy Note phone on up. So they've had quite a lot of time to refine this technology and make it better, but uses a Wacom digitizer, so it's got the 1024 levels of pressure sensitivity. And again, the S Pen is included instead of having to pay extra $100. But unlike with the iPad Pro, where you're kind of limited within the apps, when it comes to the Note Pro 12.2, it's kind of integrated into the operating system. So, I mean, from the ground up, it's like they did it around the pen. So, like I said, you can use the pen to navigate around just like you would your finger. But along with that, you've got some cool features with the button, and you can bring up your Air Command window. So with this, I can take an action memo, Smart Select, image clip, screen write, Air Command, pin window. So for instance, screen write, it takes a screenshot of whatever is open, and you can draw on it, annotate on it, whatever you want to do. Let's find out where that thing went. Try it again. So it took the picture. There it is. So like I said, it takes a picture of whatever you got up on the screen. You can draw on it, ink on it, whatever you want to do, which is pretty freaking cool. So that's just one thing you can do with the pen. There's many others. And like I said, this thing is a multitasking beast. It's running Lollipop, and I'll show you. So you got your standard, scrolling method that you would use as far as for switching back and forth between apps. But for you guys that are into specs, like I said, here's the Geekbench scores. I mean, nothing to write home about, but it's still pretty respectable score. And the tablet does what you need it to do. But it's, like I said, it's 910 single core, 2707 multi-core, as you can see. Like I said, this has got Android 5.02. It's got 1.9 gigahertz. It's actually a octa-core processor, Snapdragon 800, and it's about 3 gigs of RAM. So no slouch. It does well. I mean, like I said, it's going to be probably about half of what the iPad Pro is, but really it runs just fine. And like I said, this thing is a multitasking beast. And some of my other favorite features is, like I said, this is 32 gigabytes of internal storage, but this is expandable via micro SD here on the side up to 128 gigabytes. So really, that's another fail, I think, on the iPad Pro. So that's just one of my many favorite features. But let me show you some of the, as far as, like I said, I already showed you kind of the S Pen. It works fine. It's got palm rejection, no issues there. Let's show you S Note. So really, you can see my art. I'm not really an artist, but for you artist types out there, it's got, like I said, palm rejection. And if you don't like this small stylus, like I said, it's a Wacom or Wacom digitizer. So there's plenty of aftermarket alternatives that work just fine and are a fraction of the cost of what you'll pay for the Apple Pencil. But like I said, I don't notice any parallax effect. You will notice there's a tiny bit of latency if you try and draw really quick lines. Like I said, I can rest my palm, zoom in and out, but it works well, and there's a ton of drawing apps for this thing. And it does have OneNote integration. I'm a big OneNote guy, so it works fine just like that. Like I said, the pen, I mean, you can go to YouTube and you'll find hundreds of artist reviews on this, and this is one of the more popular tablets for art types, and especially note-taking. So let's see some of my other favorite features. So let's get back to some of the more hardware specs. Like I said, everybody knows the iPad Pro has got 4 speakers, so the sound is actually pretty good on that. But the sound on this has got a speaker on the right and speaker on the left, and is actually pretty darn good. Let me bring up a video here and give you a sound demo. But
TechnoGI, and I wanted to do a quick review of the Samsung Galaxy Tab A 9.7.
So the sound's all the way up there. Pretty darn good sound. No complaints whatsoever. So I think the sound is actually really good on this thing. So no issues there. So if you're worried about that, like I said, great picture, great sound, expandable storage, and really, I want to show you one of my favorite things about this, and where I think Apple really screwed up with the iPad Pro, and one of the reasons why the iPad Pro, in my opinion, is not a Pro tablet. Again, they should have called it the iPad Plus. So let me show you about productivity. With this, I've got a little $2 OTG cable, and I've got this Logitech keyboard, and it's not Bluetooth. It uses the little dongle thing here. I didn't think this would work because I figured I'd have to have some kind of driver, but I just tried it out of curiosity. And of course, this has got a built-in mouse. And so I'll just give you a quick demo. So I'll plug this thing in. And the cool thing about Android operating system is stuff usually just works. This is what I mean where I say this is the closest to a actual computer operating system that you'll find. So it helps when I actually turn this on. And there, I don't know if you can see on screen, there's the mouse button. Right click, I can scroll, and I'm using the actual mouse pad. So really, that's kind of where I think Apple kind of sucks when it comes to the iPad Pro. Like I said, I can use a mouse, I can use a full size, any keyboard I want, I'm just going to show you. I'm using the mouse to drive this thing. And do you need a mouse? Not necessarily, but when you're really trying to use this as a laptop replacement, it is kind of inconvenient when you're doing word processing to keep having to reach up and touch the screen. Whereas I can just stay down here and use the mouse and it works in all its glory. And of course I got a full-size keyboard and it just works. So the other thing about this little cable is I can plug a thumb drive into it and access files that way. I can also plug in any other USB peripheral I can think of and it just works. Like I said, no drivers, nothing required. And of course, with an Apple iPad Pro, you just can't do that. This would never work if you plug this into an iPad Pro. So I can hit the home button, like I said, and it just works. So let me turn this off for now and get it out of the way. And another cool thing about this is if you've got an old Xbox 360 controller laying around or a PS3 controller, you can plug it directly into this, and any game that supports gamepads, it'll just work. So moving on, I want to show you kind of where I think, again, the iPad has kind of failed, and that is in multitasking. So let me bring up one of these apps. So I'll bring up this YouTube. And over here, say at the same time, I don't know, I want to surf the internet. Now you can do this with an iPad. It's called slide over. Oop, let me get it back there. Where'd my YouTube go? Can I get that out? There we go. And so when it brings it out, it kind of gives you the option, you know, where do I want to move it. So we'll snap it over here. And of course you can resize it. Both things work as it should. And so you've got your two windows, which you can do this with an iPad too. But another cool thing is you can have more than one app. You can actually have up to 4 if you do it this way. So let me bring up S Node as well. So there's, and it totally works. So there's 1, 2, 3. Say I want to bring up a 4th one. And like I said, this is almost a 2-year-old processor, but it still works. So let's, I don't know, say I want to use a calculator. We'll throw that rig over here somewhere. And you can resize all these. So if I want more room over here, yada, yada, yada. And it just works. So you can have 4 doing it this way. And that's just one way you can multitask. And another cool thing is, let me do it to all these. You can essentially minimize these, but yet they'll still be open. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let me go home. So yeah, so you see this little guy floating over here. This is my calculator, and you can minimize, you can have, I think, 4 or 5 of these little guys open. And anytime, so for quick access, you can just open it and go to it and use it. And it just works. So pretty stinking cool. And like I said, the iPad Pro, nowhere close. And like I said, I'm not gonna lie, hardware-wise, the iPad Pro will kick this thing's butt. But software is where it's at. And Apple putting a mobile OS on that thing and still not allowing it to do really anything extra, I think, is just a disservice to the hardware. It's just really a waste of money, a waste of power. It's like having a V10 engine, but you're only going to go 25 miles an hour. So really that's where I think Apple failed and where Samsung has shined with this tablet. And just to show you another way you can multitask is using the S Pen, which again is totally integrated. And bring up my little window. And we'll go smarts, oh, wrong one. That's not the one I wanted. Let's see. There we go. Screen right. Pin window. I think this is the one I want. Yeah. So now, wherever I draw a box, I can essentially put any app I want there. And you can move it around, which is kind of cool. But you can do this as many times as you want. So, as many times as you want to, or as many apps as you want to have running, you can keep doing this. You get the idea. And to your heart's content, you can have apps open. And you can move them all over the place. You can minimize them, or you can make them the little app head, or maximize it, like I said. So that's just one way, or another way to multitask. And so let me go full screen and show you something else. And like I said, with any apps that support multi-window multitasking, you can also swipe down from over here and automatically minimize that. And you can move it around as you're doing this stuff. So pretty cool. Let me find YouTube just to show you an example again. And this is something that, you know, with the iPad Pro, you can use their native movie app and you can have the little movie window. So you watch a movie, you can navigate anywhere, but it won't let you do that with YouTube. Now with this, you can do it with anything you want. So for instance, with YouTube.
I'm loving this tablet. 100%. It is a great tablet for the price. And really,
There
that's
you
what
go.
you got to keep in mind throughout
Let me
this
turn it down.
review. If you're looking at this tablet, is the price. Like I said, this is $349.
Oop, hit the wrong button. Darn it, I was trying to turn it down. Yeah, but as an example, let me turn it down. So you can hear, this is a YouTube video playing. And while it's playing, I can move it around anywhere I want and I can do other things. So this totally still works. So whatever I want to do, and it just works. So that is one cool thing. Like I said, right now it's playing, you just can't hear it because I muted the sound. And you can move this around, resize it, and do other stuff. So, you know, whatever, I want to check OneNote. And you can move this guy anywhere you want. And it's not just with YouTube, it's going to be with essentially any app you want to use. So it just works. And that's one thing, again, that the iPad Pro, Apple's just not letting you do it, which I don't understand, but I don't know, it's just the Apple way, I guess. But like I said, it just works. Multitasking on this is the best I've seen on any device, period, whether that be the Surface, Surface Pro, iPad. I mean, it just works. And another thing I like, whereas I don't get it, when you use slide over, is what Apple calls it on the iPad. You know, you got two apps at once, they'll only be stacked, you know, left or right when you're in portrait. And when you go to landscape, it's the same thing. So you would essentially have an app over here and you'd have an app over here. But with this, it stacks them on top of each other, which to me just makes more sense. So let me show you, for example, what I'm talking about. So I got that, and then I want to bring a OneNote in. Where'd it go? All right, where's that? There we go. So that's what I'm talking about. As in, it'll stack them when you're in portrait, top and bottom, which I think is kind of makes more sense when your tablet is in a portrait mode as opposed to landscape. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of the way Apple does it. To me, it makes more sense like this, but again, I guess it's personal preference, but I don't understand why in iOS it doesn't do that when you're in portrait mode. But anyways, bottom line is it's going to be kind of how much you want to spend and what you're looking for. But like I said, you can find this for $400 or less pretty darn easy. And when it comes to productivity, I think this just blows the pants off of the iPad Pro. I mean, what you can do with this and what the price is. And like I said, this is almost 2 years old, so it's a little dated, but everything works. I mean, it works well. Like I said, I can really use this as a laptop replacement, whereas the iPad Pro, not so much. But anyways, that's just kind of a quick look and a partial review of the Galaxy Note Pro 12.2. So I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are. I mean, a lot of people have kind of forgotten about this tablet. It's kind of been overshadowed by everything else. But I just think if you're looking at an iPad Pro, that you should seriously consider the Samsung Note series tablets, which at this point you've got the 10.1 and the 12.2, which have both been discontinued. So they don't make them anymore. So once they're gone, they're gone. And also, I did a review last week on the Galaxy Tab A 9.7, which is another Note tablet. So other than those three options, that's the only ones that have the stylus support for a Android tablet or Samsung. Anyways, again, as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, so please do. Thanks.